there comes a moment in every life when the universe seems to place an invisible wall in front of you. It is a wall that does not look like a wall. It looks like pain. It looks like loss. It looks like betrayal. It looks like silence. It looks like confusion. It looks like you are going backwards when in truth you are being prepared to go forwards. Carl Jung once said that no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. And what he meant is that before your life rises into something new, you will be forced to descend into the darkness of your own soul. This descent is the most difficult test, and if you can stay awake while going through it, the universe shifts your reality in ways you cannot even imagine. Think about the patterns of life. Before the dawn, the night is the darkest. Before spring, the winter feels endless. Before you rise, you are pressed down. This is not accident, it is design. The universe wants to know if you are ready to handle what you are asking for, if your spirit is strong enough to hold the blessing, if your heart is wide enough to carry the weight of your own destiny. Jung believed that the unconscious is not just personal but collective, that it holds the blueprint of our becoming. And so when the unconscious rises, it does not rise in gentle ways. It rises in storms. It rises in shattered dreams. It rises in broken friendships. It rises when the familiar no longer feels safe and the future looks uncertain. The test begins when you feel abandoned. You pray and there is no answer. You wait and nothing moves. You try and nothing changes. The very things that once gave you comfort now feel meaningless. It is as if the universe is saying, if I strip everything away, will you still stand? If I take the ground from under your feet, will you still walk? And you, without realizing, are being watched by forces you cannot see. Your reaction to this invisible examination decides the path of your future. Jung observed again and again that what people resist in themselves comes back multiplied. If you resist fear, fear controls you. If you resist loss, loss becomes your story. If you resist change, change breaks you. The universe knows this. So the test is not designed to destroy you. It is designed to break your resistance. You will be forced to meet the very shadow you have been running from, because only when you face it can you become whole. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. And individuation always begins with a collapse, a breakdown, a moment where you can no longer cling to the person you used to be. Have you ever noticed that the biggest shifts in your life happened after you thought it was all over? You lost someone and it felt unbearable, and yet that loss opened you to a love you never knew before. You failed at something you thought defined you, and yet that failure revealed a strength that had been hiding in your soul. You were rejected and you thought it was the end, but later you saw it was protection. The most difficult test is always disguised as punishment when it is actually preparation. Jung would say that the unconscious does not come to punish, it comes to heal, but the healing feels like breaking. Imagine a bone that was set wrongly. To heal it properly, the bone must be broken again so it can set in the right place. That breaking is painful, but without it, you would live crippled. The universe, in its strange wisdom, allows what is broken inside you to come apart completely, so that you can be rebuilt stronger, straighter. That is why before your reality changes, before your destiny unfolds, you must go through the hardest test. In those moments you will feel isolated. People will not understand you. Friends may turn away. Loved ones may disappoint you. Doors may close one after another. The life you once trusted may fall apart in your hands, and the temptation will be to give up, to become bitter, to say, "Why me?" But the question is not, "Why me?" The real question is, am I ready? Because hidden inside the trial is the seed of your transformation. The universe is watching not what happens to you, but how you respond. Jung said that man needs difficulties, for they are necessary for health. Without difficulty, the soul does not awaken. Without conflict, the spirit does not strengthen. Without the test, the destiny cannot arrive. You may ask the universe for strength, and then everything weakens around you. You may ask for wisdom, and then confusion rains down on you. You may ask for love, and then people leave. You may ask for abundance, and then everything you counted on is taken away. You may think the universe ignored your request, but in truth, the universe heard you clearly. It just knows the only way to give you what you asked for is to train you through the opposite. Think of fire and gold. Gold cannot shine until it passes through fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Seeds must break to become trees. The caterpillar dissolves before it becomes a butterfly. Why would your transformation be any easier? Jung knew that the psyche contains opposites, light and dark, masculine and feminine, order and chaos, and the union of these opposites is what makes a person whole. So the test comes to merge the opposites in you, to break what is false so that what is true can rise. The reason this test feels unbearable is because it touches the deepest wounds. If your wound is abandonment, you will be abandoned. If your wound is betrayal, you will be betrayed. If your wound is failure, you will fail. It feels cruel, but it is precise. The universe touches the very place that keeps you chained, not to hurt you but to release you. And if you can endure the pain without shutting down, if you can feel the wound and not run, you will find that something shifts inside you. You no longer live as a victim of your wound, you live as the healer of it. This is the moment reality changes. Not when the outer world suddenly improves, but when your inner world is no longer controlled by fear. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The test forces the unconscious to the surface. It makes you face what you never wanted to see. It makes you bring light into the darkest parts of yourself. And once you do, you are no longer bound. Fate no longer drags you. You begin to shape your destiny. But here is the secret. Most people quit too early. Most people give up in the middle of the test. They grow bitter, they close their hearts, they lose faith, and they walk away just before the shift. The universe is not cruel, but it is exact. It will only release the blessing when you have proven you can hold it. The blessing is not given to the version of you who was untested. It is given to the version of you who survived the night, who kept faith when everything fell apart, who chose love over bitterness, who chose courage over fear. So if you are in that place right now, where nothing makes sense, where it feels like the universe has forgotten you, where the silence is heavy and the pain is sharp, remember this: you are not being destroyed, you are being remade. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not being abandoned, you are being initiated. The universe is running its most difficult test on you because your life is about to shift in a way that your old self could not handle. Jung believed that every transformation is preceded by crisis. The psyche demands balance, and so it shakes, it breaks, it burns, until the new order emerges. Do not fear this shaking. Do not curse this breaking. Do not run from this fire. Stand inside it and let it burn away what is false. On the other side, you will find yourself, not the self you pretended to be, not the self others wanted you to be, but the self you were always meant to be. And when you stand as that self, reality itself rearranges. That is the secret the universe hides in the test. It looks like the end, but it is the doorway. It looks like destruction, but it is creation. It looks like loss, but it is gain. The test will not last forever. The night always ends, the winter always melts, the pain always softens. And when it does, you will see that the test was not against you, it was for you. It was the proof that you are ready. Carl Jung understood that the journey of the soul is not easy, but it is real. And the universe, in its infinite mystery, always keeps its word. After the hardest test comes the greatest transformation. After the breaking comes the becoming. After the silence comes the song. So hold on, endure the test. Because when it ends, and it will, your reality will never be the same again. And when your reality shifts, you will notice something extraordinary. The same things that once scared you will no longer control you. The same people who once held power over your emotions will no longer have that hold. The situations that once broke you will no longer touch you in the same way. It is not because the world outside has suddenly become softer. It is because the world inside you has become stronger. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and the most difficult test is the path to that privilege. The universe does not send the test to everyone in the same way. For some, it comes as financial collapse, stripping away every illusion of safety. For others, it comes as heartbreak, cutting deep into the core of their identity. For some, it is sickness. For others, it is betrayal. And for many, it is silence, the long, empty space where nothing moves and nothing changes, a silence so heavy it feels like it might suffocate you. But no matter the form, the essence of the test is the same. It is designed to separate who you thought you were from who you really are. Take the story of a man who spent years building a business. He gave it everything, sacrificed relationships, sacrificed his health, only to watch it collapse overnight. At first, he thought the universe had destroyed him. But in the ashes, he found something he had buried for decades, the gift of creating without fear. He discovered that his worth was not tied to success or failure, and when he built again, he built differently. This time, not from desperation, but from freedom. That collapse, as cruel as it felt, was the universe's test, and the reward was a life aligned with his true self. Or the woman who gave her heart completely to someone who betrayed her. She thought her life was over. She thought she would never trust again. But as she moved through the pain, she saw the truth, that she had been abandoning herself for years just to be loved. The betrayal forced her to stop abandoning herself. It made her choose her own soul first. And when she healed, she found a love that was not born of desperation, but of wholeness. Again, the universe's most difficult test, but also its most beautiful gift. Jung knew that myths and stories carry these truths across generations. Think of the hero's journey, a pattern you see in every culture. The hero always faces a dark cave, a dragon, a moment where everything is stripped away. That moment is the test, and only after walking through the darkness does the treasure appear. The myth is not just a story, it is a mirror of your own life. You too will face your cave, your dragon, your collapse, and if you walk through it, you too will find your treasure. The temptation is always to run from the test, to numb yourself, to distract yourself, to go back to what is safe even if it is killing your spirit. But the test does not end until you face it. You can delay it, you can deny it, but it will always come back. The universe does not forget. The shadow does not disappear because you close your eyes. It waits patiently until you are strong enough to look at it. And when you finally do, you realize that what you feared was never as big as you imagined. Jung often said that what we need most is hidden, where we least want to look. The most difficult test will always push you to look where you least want to look. If you are afraid of being alone, you will face loneliness. If you are afraid of losing control, you will face chaos. If you are afraid of rejection, you will be rejected. Not because the universe is cruel, but because the universe is precise. The medicine is always placed in the wound. And here is something even more mysterious. When you pass the test, when you endure without collapsing into bitterness, you begin to notice signs. The universe speaks again. Doors open. Opportunities appear. People show up at the right time. Synchronicities multiply. It is as if reality itself recognizes you are ready and rearranges in your favor. Jung called synchronicity the meaningful coincidence, proof that the inner world and outer world are connected. And after the test, these synchronicities explode in your life, guiding you into the new chapter you were being prepared for. But there is a warning here too. If you resist the test, if you cling to the old identity, if you numb yourself with distractions, you will repeat the cycle. You will keep attracting the same pain, the same relationships, the same betrayals, until you finally see the lesson. The universe is patient, but it will not let you escape. The test is not punishment, it is destiny calling, and destiny does not stop knocking. So how do you endure when everything inside you wants to quit? You remember that this is not the end. This is initiation. You remember that no tree grows without its roots going down first. You remember that the pain has meaning even if you cannot see it yet. You breathe. You stand. You let yourself feel, but you do not let yourself give up. You trust that even in silence, the universe is speaking. Even in loss, the universe is guiding. Even in pain, the universe is healing. And when it is done, when the storm finally passes, you will see yourself in the mirror and hardly recognize who you have become. Stronger, softer, wiser, freer, more whole. This is the gift hidden inside the most difficult test. This is the treasure the universe was preparing you for all along. And your reality will shift. Not because the world changed, but because you did. So if you find yourself right now in the darkness, if you feel like you are standing in the middle of your hardest season, hold on. Do not run. Do not curse the universe. Do not believe the lie that this is the end. This is not the end. This is the beginning of who you truly are. And when you pass this test, the universe will open doors you never knew existed, and life itself will transform before your eyes. And as you walk out of the test, you will notice something subtle but powerful. The things that used to trigger you no longer hold the same weight. The words that once cut deep now pass through you without leaving wounds. The fears that once haunted you lose their grip. It is not that the world has suddenly become easy, it is that you have become unshakable. You no longer beg for peace, you carry peace. You no longer chase for validation, you walk in quiet confidence. This is what Jung meant when he said that the shadow, once integrated, becomes not a weakness but a source of strength. The very thing that once broke you becomes the foundation that carries you. Look at the ancient symbol of the phoenix, the bird that burns in fire only to rise again from its own ashes. Cultures across the world kept this image alive because they knew it mirrors the journey of the soul. You must burn before you rise. You must dissolve before you awaken. The fire is not the enemy, the fire is the passage. The ashes are not the end, the ashes are the beginning. The most difficult test is your fire, and if you let it consume the false, you will rise in truth. Jung studied myth, religion, and dreams not as empty symbols but as maps of the human soul. He saw that the crucifixion before resurrection, the descent before ascension, the darkness before light, are not just stories, they are the pattern of human becoming. You too are asked to walk this path. You too must die to the old self so the new self can be born. This dying feels like loss, but it is actually liberation. Think of a seed. If you look at it in the soil, it looks like it is being buried, forgotten, hidden under the dark earth. But what is happening? The seed is breaking, the shell is dissolving, and from that breaking, life begins. If the seed refused to break, it would remain a seed forever. The universe places you in the dark earth not to bury you, but to break you open so that the life inside you can emerge. That breaking is the most difficult test, but without it, the tree within you cannot rise. Sometimes, when people pass through this stage, they notice how everything they once clung to no longer makes sense. The job that once defined them loses meaning. The relationship that once felt like everything no longer feels aligned. The mask they wore in society feels too heavy to carry. And though this feels confusing, it is actually the greatest gift. Because for the first time, they are standing without illusions. They are standing raw, open, unmasked. And in that rawness, life can rebuild them. Carl Jung saw this in his patients again and again. Those who came to him in crisis, thinking their lives had collapsed beyond repair, were often the very ones on the edge of transformation. A woman who could not stop dreaming of fire later realized she needed to burn away the life that was suffocating her spirit. A man who dreamed of drowning later found he had been avoiding the emotional depths of his own soul. The unconscious was speaking, guiding, testing, and when they finally listened, their lives took a new shape. The dream, the crisis, the breakdown, they were all the test before the shift. And you listening now may be in that very place. You may be dreaming of fire. You may be drowning in emotions. You may be standing in silence so heavy it feels like eternity. And yet, all of this is part of your preparation. The universe is not against you. It is for you in ways you cannot yet understand. There will be moments when you feel you cannot bear it, when you want to quit, when you want to numb yourself so you don't have to feel, when you want to return to the old life because at least it was familiar. But if you return, you betray yourself, and the test will come again, harder each time, until you face it. So do not run. Do not numb. Do not go back. Stand where you are. Feel what you feel. Endure the silence. Because just when it feels unbearable, something shifts. And that shift is not always loud. It may come like a whisper. You wake up one morning and realize you are not as afraid. You face the same problem and notice you do not collapse like before. You sit in the same silence and realize you are no longer empty, you are full. This is the quiet proof that you have passed the test. The universe does not always announce the victory with trumpets. Sometimes it announces it with peace. Jung believed that when you meet your shadow, you also meet your power. And after the test, people often discover abilities they never knew they had. The gift of intuition sharpens. The sense of creativity awakens. The courage to speak truth grows stronger. They discover that what they once thought was weakness was actually a hidden strength waiting to be claimed. And with that strength, they step into life differently. They no longer walk as victims, they walk as creators. They no longer wait for reality to change. They carry the change within them. This is why the universe's hardest test is sacred. It is not just about survival, it is about rebirth. It is about stepping into the deeper layers of who you are meant to be. It is about claiming the life that only your true self can hold. And though the test feels unbearable, the reward is beyond imagination. And when you reach that point, you will look back and see the strange kindness of it all. You will see that what left you was never meant for you. You will see that what broke you was shaping you. You will see that what abandoned you was freeing you. You will see that the silence was not absence, but presence in disguise. And you will thank the universe for the very fire you once cursed. Because without that test, you would still be asleep. Without that test, you would still be trapped in illusions. Without that test, you would still be begging life for scraps instead of walking into your own abundance. Without that test, you would never know the depth of your own soul, and so when the next test comes, and it will, because life is a cycle of becoming, you will not fear it as you once did. You will recognize it. You will bow your head and whisper, "I know what this is. This is not the end. This is the path." And with that knowing, you will endure again. And each time you will rise higher, shine brighter, live truer. Carl Jung understood that the soul is vast, and that the journey to wholeness is not easy. But he also knew it is the only journey worth taking. And so when the universe places its most difficult test before you, remember that it is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is your initiation. It is your fire. And if you pass through it, your reality will open into something so much greater than you can imagine. And once you understand this rhythm of life, you begin to see that the test is not random, it is archetypal. Jung discovered that within every person lives universal patterns that show up in dreams, myths, and daily struggles. He called them archetypes, and they appear whenever we move into a new stage of becoming. The hero must leave the familiar world. The wanderer must face the unknown road. The warrior must battle the inner dragon. The lover must face the wound of the heart. These archetypes rise in the psyche because the soul knows where you are going before your mind does. And when you are on the edge of change, the archetype that belongs to that change awakens inside you. This awakening is what makes the test feel so intense. It is not just your personal struggle. It is the ancient struggle of the human spirit repeating itself through you. That is why you sometimes feel as if your life has become myth, as if your pain is bigger than just your own story, as if you are walking through something timeless. You are not imagining this. You are inside a pattern as old as humanity itself. The breaking before the rising, the loss before the gain, the shadow before the light. Every culture told this story in its own way. Every human soul must live it in its own way. Jung wrote about the archetype of the self, the deep center of the psyche that holds unity, meaning, and wholeness. But to reach the self, the ego must be broken. The false identity must dissolve. The masks must fall. And this dissolving feels like death. You lose who you thought you were. You lose the identity you built carefully for years. You lose the world you trusted. Yet in losing, you find what is real. The self rises, and with it, a reality that finally matches your true nature. This is why the universe insists on the test. It is not enough to add light to your life. You must dissolve what is false first. Only then can you step into truth. Consider the story of the caterpillar. For a while, it crawls through life, familiar with the ground, feeding on leaves, small in vision. But one day, it enters the cocoon. And inside that cocoon, it does not simply grow wings. It dissolves. Its very body melts into liquid. If the caterpillar could think as we do, it would say, "This is the end. I am dying." And yet from that complete breaking, a butterfly emerges. The cocoon is the most difficult test. But without it, there is no flight. You too will face your cocoon. You too will dissolve. And when it happens, you will be tempted to resist, to cling to the life of the caterpillar, to fight against the melting. But if you can endure it, if you can surrender to the breaking, you will find yourself flying in ways you never dreamed. Many people want change but do not want the test. They want transformation but not the fire. They want abundance but not the empty hands. They want love but not the heartbreak that clears the heart. They want wisdom but not the confusion that teaches humility. But the universe will not give the gift without the preparation. The test is the preparation. Without it, you would not have the strength to hold the very thing you ask for. And here lies the paradox. The test feels like the universe is against you, when in truth it is the universe trusting you. If the universe did not see your potential, it would not place this weight upon you. If the universe did not believe you could carry more, it would not strip away what is lesser. The very fact that you are in the fire is proof that life believes in you more than you believe in yourself. Jung wrote that the greatest burden of man is the unlived life, and the test comes to break you away from the unlived life. You may cling to comfort, to safety, to the known, but deep down you know it is not the life you were born for. The test takes it away so you can no longer hide in it. It forces you into the unknown, because the unknown is where your true life waits. Think of the child learning to walk. The parent lets go of the child's hand, and the child stumbles, falls, cries. To the child, it feels like betrayal, but to the parent, it is love. The letting go is necessary. Without the fall, the child will never walk. Without the stumble, the child will never stand strong. The universe is the same. When it lets go of your hand, it is not abandoning you. It is teaching you to walk on your own. And as you walk, you may find that the old world no longer fits. The conversations feel shallow. The habits feel heavy. The goals you once chased no longer shine. This too is part of the test. You are being lifted into a higher vibration, and the lower one feels uncomfortable. Do not force yourself back into it. Allow the discomfort. Allow the shift. Because soon you will meet new people, new paths, new doors that align with who you are becoming. But they will not appear until you stop clinging to the old. Jung often said that wholeness is not achieved by cutting off parts of yourself, but by integrating them. The test forces integration. You cannot avoid your anger anymore. You must face it. You cannot hide your fear. You must confront it. You cannot deny your longing. You must embrace it. Every piece you rejected comes to the surface, and though it feels overwhelming, it is the only way to become whole. Once you integrate, once you bring all the scattered pieces into unity, you become someone reality itself must bow to. Because wholeness carries a power greater than any mask, and here is what few people realize. When your reality changes after the test, it does not just change for you. It changes for everyone connected to you. Your healing ripples into your family. Your courage inspires others. Your freedom shows others the way. One soul passing the test can lift many. This is why your test matters. This is why your fire is sacred. It is not only for your destiny, it is for the destiny of those who will find light through your survival. So when you feel like giving up, remember that it is not only your life on the line. It is the countless lives that will be touched by your becoming. It is the unknown people who will find hope because you endured. It is the generations after you who will live freer because you broke the chain. The universe tests you not just for you, but for all who will rise with you. And one day, when you stand on the other side, you will understand. You will see that the darkest night gave you the brightest dawn. You will see that the deepest wound opened the greatest love. You will see that the hardest test was the greatest kindness. And you will bow your head in gratitude for the fire that remade you.